Shut up, it is not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So this is teaching for women. So the Bible tells you why people are gay. And it's because of pagan idolatry. You can read Romans 1. And it's the church's fault. And I know you said you've been delivered from that. But that doesn't change the fact that it is the reason, the church is the reason why there's a lot of people that are gay today, because they push their pagan idolatry to the four corners of the world. Their Christmas, Jeremiah 10, and their Easter, Jeremiah 7, because they made the uncorruptible God into an image of a corruptible man. What you're wearing on your ear and on your shirt, the image made onto the beast in Revelations 13, a number of a man, who's wise to know it, 666, Chi, Ze, stigma, Christ pierced on cross, your crucifix, Isaiah 44, the workman that stretches out his ruler, marks it with a line, makes an image of a man according to a beauty of a man. Hosea 2:2, plead with your mother to remove the adulteries between her breasts. Idolatry is the sin unto death, 1 John 5. Little children, keep yourself from idols. It's the sin he dares not pray for, because it makes you deaf, dumb, and blind. Psalms 115 and 135, because you become like them. They have eyes, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. They have legs, but they don't walk in the ways of the Lord, because we are to keep the 10 Commandments and we are to eat clean. These are the 2 covenants of promise in Ephesians 2 that you must keep. And so you're not an alien anymore, without God and without hope. Because Jehovah doesn't change, so Jacob is not consumed, and Jacob is his servants. Malachi chapter 3. The Son doesn't change either. He didn't change yesterday, today, or forever. And he didn't do his own will. He did his Father's will. He could do nothing of himself but what the Father had shown him to do. And the Father bare record of his Son in Deuteronomy 18. And 1 John 5, verse 10 says, if you don't believe the record Jehovah gave of his Son, you make Jehovah a liar. Deuteronomy 18, Moses wrote that the Messiah, Yeshua, who would come in the Father's name, Joshua, his English name, Zechariah 3, Revelations 5, not Jebus. Jebus is the 2 Thessalonians 2, John 5, 42 and 43. The one that came in his own name that Yeshua warned you would accept, because you don't have the love of God in you. 1 John 5, 3. For this is the love of God, to keep his commandments. Because you don't keep the 10 commandments, you've accepted the one who came in his own name. The many false messiahs that would come after him that he warned you would happen in Matthew 24. There's 46,000 different Christian denominations who've all accepted the man of perdition in their hearts, who sits in their temple, because we are the temple, 1 Corinthians 7, and say he's God, worship him over the Father. Jeremiah 23, end time prophecy, where it speaks of the second Exodus, because there's going to be a second Exodus greater than the first Exodus, where they won't mention how the Lord, that God brought him out of Egypt into the wilderness any longer. And then it tells you about the lying pastors, the wolves in sheep's clothing, that scatter his flock, teaching burden of the Lord, that his commandments are burdensome. 1 John 5, verse 2 and 3, they're grievous, no man can keep them. That's dream and tell everyone and their neighbor that they forget the Father's name, Jehovah, for the name Baal, Jesus. And on that second Exodus in Hosea 2, the woman that prepared her corn and wine for Baal, she didn't know that Jehovah gave her the corn and wine that she prepared for Baal. He's going to take that name from her mouth and she's going to no longer remember it. Romans 10, his people have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. Yeshua told you that he desired mercy over sacrifice and the knowledge of God over burnt offerings, and to go learn what that meant in Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 and Hosea chapter 6 verse 6 and 7. His covenants that he would remember in Luke 1:72, the mercy that he would perform and the covenants he would remember, the covenants that Moses said he would give us in the day of the assembly, the covenants at Horeb, everything according, the people were to hearken unto his son, and he would give them everything desired at Horeb in the day of the assembly, the covenant in Deuteronomy 5, the covenants at Horeb, the 10 Commandments. Matthew 22, verse 36 through 40, he fulfilled that prophecy. Jehovah would speak through his son, give us commandments he would require of us in Deuteronomy 18, Matthew 22, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. Yeshua quoted Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, and it means to keep the 10 commandments in your heart. And if you do them, it will be your righteousness. That's verse 25 of Deuteronomy 6. And Leviticus 19:15 through 18, what James calls the royal law in James 2, verse 8 and 9. Leviticus 19:15 through 18, to do righteous judgment, judge by Jehovah's righteousness, the 10 Commandments. Rebuke your neighbor when they sin so they don't suffer sin upon them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. This is why he said in Matthew 5, he didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets, but to fulfill what the prophets prophesied he would do. Isaiah, the prophet, he wrote in Isaiah 42:21, prophesied that the Lord would magnify the law and make it honorable. He magnified those 2 commandments in the law. That's why the lawyer asked him, what is the greatest commandment in the law they had in Matthew 22. And Revelations 22:14 says, blessed are they who do his commandments, that they have right to the tree of life and are able to enter into the gates of the kingdom. You think you've been delivered, right? The Messiah told you to not be deceived, that there was going to be many false prophets that came after him that would come in his own name, deceiving many with lying signs and wonders. In Luke 11, he was accused of casting out demons with the name Beelzebub, the king of the devils. But Yeshua came casting out demons with the finger of God, and the finger of God wrote the 10 Commandments. Exodus 31, verse 16 through 18, Deuteronomy 4. He casted out demons with the 10 Commandments. He casted out demons with the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God is only given to those who obey God and keep his commandments. John 14, Acts 5:32. And he told them in Matthew 28 to go baptizing all nations in the name of the Father, Jehovah, in the name of the Son, Yeshua, and the Holy Ghost, who's only given to those who obey God, defining what that meant, teaching them all he had commanded them. All he had commanded, to love God, love neighbor. That's how he baptizes them with the Holy Ghost. Keep the 10 Commandments, eat clean. That's where you get true healing.